Alright guys, today we're going to be going through my top 5 Kanye West albums. Now before I start this video, I do always like to have a little disclaimer at the start with my top 5s and whatnot, that this is a purely subjective list, and just because your top 5 is completely different to my top 5 doesn't mean that the music or the Kanye you listen to is bad, doesn't mean whatever I listen to is bad, just means that we have different opinions. And you know, especially Kanye West fans, we're all very opinionated people, aren't we? So do want to get that out of the way first. And I'm also not going to be including any unreleased albums. I know you can see Yandi there. Shout out to the dude that made that. And I'm also not going to be including any collab albums, okay? So Watch the Throne, Vultures, stuff like that will not be counted in this list. So just solo project, studio album, released, yay albums. Alright, let's get into the top 5. Alright, number 5, we've got Donda. Now, before you click off the video and just tell me this listing straight away, Donda is in my top 5, it is in the 5th position. I do acknowledge that Donda is a really long album, but when I look at the track list, it is bloated, but it's bloated with so much heat as well. Donda is home to some of my favorite Kanye West songs of all time. I definitely can't remember all of my favorite tracks off Donda because there's so many, but I can give you a couple, such as Pure Souls, Jail, No Child Left Behind, Jesus Lord, God Breathed, Okay Okay. You've got Junior with Playboy Cardi, you've got Remote Control, you've got Come to Life, there's just so many good songs. I know I left out so many good ones. Yeah, you got Praise God as well. You've got Off the Grid as well, which is way better Cardi collab than Carnival. There's so many fantastic tracks. I know I'm definitely, I can't think of everything right now because unfortunately this CD doesn't have anything on it. It's just pure black, which doesn't help at all. But yeah, Donda, definitely a long album, but it's just, I love the vibe. It's got a very consistent sort of, religious undertone going throughout the album. It is kind of cool how it's clean as well, so I can play this in the car and not get slandered for, too much swear words or anything like that. Obviously it is completely clean. Amazing tribute album for his mother. And yeah, the production, the lyrics, the rapping, just the whole vibe. It's essentially that vibe that Donda instills. The religious sort of feel you get from it that I really do like and appreciate. And yeah, so Donda is number 5 at my list. Like I said, maybe this could be an unpopular opinion, but I've definitely met Kanye West fans and people who rank Donda even higher in their Kanye West discographies, like I'm talking like top 3, like even top 1 or 2. So yeah, Donda's number 5. Let's get on to number 4. Number 4 is none other than Graduation. For some reason, this number 4 pick was really hard for me. I was really weighing up between Graduation and The Life of Pablo. The Life of Pablo is definitely my 6th favorite Kanye album. And just because it's lower on the tier list doesn't mean that the album, is objectively like a lot worse than my top 5. Like, I still say like The Life of Pablo is like a freaking 9 out of 10. It's a phenomenal album, by the way. So yeah, Kanye's got a crazy discography in hip hop, as we all know. But yeah, anyway, Graduation does have to definitely take this position. This is, like I mentioned in my previous video, a custom CD, so pretty cool. As you can see, it's enhanced. The original came out as a digipack, but the content itself, apart from Drunken Hot Girls, I do love every single song on this album, including the bonus tracks like Good Night and Bittersweet Poetry. I do like Barry Bonds as well, which a lot of people don't like, but Drunken Hot Girls is the only flaw. Otherwise, this album is absolutely amazing. The production, the sampling, this was ahead of its time. This is, it's a crazy artwork as well. There's so much to say about this album. It is near perfection for me. Hence the fourth place position in my top 5. So yeah, Graduation, fantastic album. I know a lot of people will be happy to see this in my top 5, and then there'll be, there's a couple of people commenting, oh, that's an NPC take to have this up here. But yeah, for sure, Graduation does definitely deserve to be in my top 5, hence it's in my 4th spot for my top 5 Kanye albums. Let's get on to number 3. Number 3, we've got none other than Yeezus. So Yeezus is my 3rd favorite of all time. We're getting serious now, getting to the top 3. Obviously, this album, when it came out, didn't get a whole lot of love, but the more it seems to age now, the more people start to love it. It's very concise, only 10 tracks, and there's only one minor flaw with it for me, in my own personal opinion, and that's the song Bound 2. I'm not a fan of that song at all, but all 9 other tracks I absolutely love. So a little bit of a graduation case right there, where we've got, you know, just one song I'm not a fan of, with Graduation being Drunken Hot Girls. So yeah, I know that's definitely an unpopular take, not being a fan of the song Bound 2, but I do like all 9 other tracks, with my favorite being On Sight, especially, you know, it's produced by Daft Punk, which is my favorite artist of all time. I love Hold My Liquor, Black Skinhead, I Am a God, and New Slaves. Just those first 5 tracks have a crazy first 5 track run. But yeah, those 9 tracks apart from Bound 2 I do really like. You know, I don't despise Bound 2, but I have explained before why I'm not a fan of it. You know, I think it's a bit corny. I know it's supposed to be like, you know, a soft outro to the album to complement the very aggressive and industrial, you know, nature of the rest of Yeezus, but just don't like it, especially the sample vocal loop. Yeah, it is what it is, I guess. But yeah, Yeezus, fantastic album nevertheless. Probably a 9 to 9.5 out of 10 for me. And yeah, fantastic. I've loved it since it came out. You know, it never had to grow on me or anything. You know, from the first listen, I did really like this album. So moving on to the top 2. Let's get on to number 2. Number 2 is 808s and Heartbreak, and Kanye West's 808s and Heartbreak is actually the first ever Kanye album I listened to, so it does have a very nostalgic and soft spot in my heart, and it also is home to my favorite album cover of all time. Not this version, the one with the hands, you know, sort of breaking apart this, what is that, a deflated balloon apart. That's my favorite album cover of all time as well. But yeah, I'm always so shocked to see this ranked so low in people's discography rankings. Why is this like such an underrated album? Like, how is it underrated? This album literally, you know, inspired a generation of artists, and yet so many people just seem to not like it or just brush it off and not care about it. This album is fantastic. It is a 10 out of 10 in my eyes, which might be unpopular, but yeah, this is actually my second favorite Kanye album of all time. It has some of my favorite Kanye tracks of all time as well. Say You Will and Welcome to Heartbreak, Robocop as well, are probably, you know, all 3 of those tracks from my top 10 Kanye songs ever for sure. And, you know, other tracks like Paranoid and, you know, Love Lockdown. There's just so much, you know, I love this album start to finish. Yeah, this is definitely my second favorite Kanye album of all time. I absolutely love it. And yeah, people just need to stop sleeping on this one. It's phenomenal, 10 out of 10. And yeah, my second pick. And let's get on to the ultimate final pick, my favorite Kanye album of all time. Number 1 is My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. Now, if you've been watching my videos for a while, this would have been obvious. You already knew this. But yeah, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, not only my favorite Kanye album, but what I consider to be the best thing he's ever made. Yes, I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, this is such a mainstream and NPC take, but seriously, this is his best project. You can watch all the YouTube documentaries on it. It's so fascinating, it's amazing, and this album is perfection, start to finish, okay? The production, the lyricism, you know, the features, it's all 10 out of 10. It's all perfect. The perfect blend of, you know, well-seasoned and experienced artists are featured on this thing alongside, you know, newer artists like Kid Cudi at the time. It's just so freaking good. Like, everything about this thing. My favorite track on this thing is So Appalled, which is probably an unpopular take, but that actually is my favorite Kanye song of all time. Yeah, like crazy. It's got a shit ton of features and everyone absolutely delivers, especially Jay-Z and Pusha T. Their verses are fucking wild and insane. But yeah, that's probably, you know, I don't know how that's not regarded as one of the greatest hip-hop songs of all time. Like, seriously, So Appalled is so slept on. But obviously you've got, you know, all of the lights on this thing. You got Monster, Devil in a New Dress, Runaway, Dark Fantasy. Gorgeous is probably my second favorite track on this album. And yeah, it's so freaking good. And yeah, this is my favorite Kanye album of all time. It's probably my third favorite just album of all time, with my first being Dr. Dre 2001 and my second being Daft Punk Discovery. This is probably my top 3 albums ever. And yeah, I fucking love this thing. And you know, I replay it so much more than every other Kanye album. You know, Kanye isn't the only artist I listen to, obviously. So yeah, this is number 1. You can hate, you can agree, you can say whatever you want, but this is Kanye's best album ever by far. Like, it's the best thing he's ever made. So yeah, that just about wraps up this video. I'll just answer some predicted frequently asked questions before we finish up and just give some of my general thoughts on the albums I didn't mention in this video as well. So how long have I been listening to Kanye? I've been listening to him since 2017, but I had heard, most of the tracks off 808s and Heartbreak since as early as like 2012, 2013, stuff like that. But 2017 was when I properly locked in, got into his discography, explored everything. I loved Late Registration a lot, and I loved, The Life of Pablo. That was the newest album at that time, pretty sure. And yeah, I also loved Watch the Throne, stuff like that. But yeah, and then sort of lockdown when Donda came out, when I started getting heavy into the collecting, I always had the 808s and Heartbreak CD from around, 2017, I want to say. And then all the other stuff I sort of started collecting, more recently, especially, during lockdown times. And after that, let's talk about some of the albums I didn't mention in this video, and some of the albums I don't even own physically. The College Dropout, obviously I don't have that CD. And yeah, just because I don't own a specific, Kanye album, physically doesn't mean I think it's bad. I'll just point that out as well. College Dropout, to be honest, I think, Late Registration is so much better than College Dropout. That's just my personal opinion. I don't see myself, I don't replay much of the songs off College Dropout. There are definitely some crazy good tracks on it. But yeah, I'm just not a fan of the album, to be honest. Like, I'm not saying it's bad. It's definitely, a good album for sure. Late Registration, absolute banger. That's got to be like an 8 out of 10, probably my 7th after The Life of Pablo. Great album. I've listened to it tremendous amount of times. What else did we miss? We didn't talk about Jesus is King. Not a big fan of the album. Yandi, absolutely, but Jesus is King, no, not really. We didn't talk about Ye as well. Not really a big fan of that album either. It is very concise, very short, hit and miss with the tracks for me. Let's just have a think here. Have I mentioned everything? I think for studio albums, for the most part, I have. I'm just going through the years trying to think. But yeah, I think everything else I've sort of mentioned and gone through, unless it's, a collab album or unreleased. I think that's everything, unless I'm crazy. But yeah, I think that's everything. So yeah, I'm looking forward to Bully. Hopefully it can be better than the Vultures stuff that was put out. Obviously not too good, especially Vultures 2 was a mess. Vultures 1 was a little bit overhated. But yeah, you can definitely check out my other videos on my channel. I talk a lot about my opinions on Kanye and just other rap artists and stuff like that. So definitely leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I do appreciate you guys for watching this video. Go easy on me in the comments. Obviously it's always very tough and brave to make a top 5 or an opinionated video on music, because everyone is super passionate and opinionated with the albums they love. So yeah, let me know your top 5 in the comment section below, your favorite Kanye tracks. Oh yeah, I'll mention a couple of my favorite Kanye tracks: Welcome to Heartbreak, Say You Will, Saint Pablo, No Child Left Behind. What else? Yeah, So Appalled, I think, did I say that? I don't know. Devil in a New Dress. There's a lot. There's so many. Champion, Off Graduation. Yeah, there's way too many. On Site as well. Hold My Liquor. Yeah, there's way too many basically for me to sit here. But yeah, that's it, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.